Hello, this is our week 7 recording regarding the homework assignment in creating interior elevations. Now, I'm going to set up a brand new drawing as part of the instructions, and I'll also open the supplemental file that was provided. So here we're going to the big A, New, and we'll simply choose Open, and I'll start a brand new file. Immediately then we need to type units and make this architectural scale, and then type LT scale and type 24. That sets up a half-inch scale drawing. Now I will hide the grid here by using F7 on my keyboard. So the week's support folder included this file here. It's a support file that includes lots of fixtures you can use in your projects. You can see here there's sinks and front elevations. There's lavatories and front and side elevations along with these ADA grab bars here. So there are a variety of things here you can use in your project. So let's go back to our project here. So first, you're going to want to Xreference your floor plan into this file. So we'll use the actual floor plan as if this is a drafting exercise where you're tracing over an existing drawing to produce an elevation. So we'll Xref, and then we'll go track down our drawing file. So let me open up one here. Let's say we open up one of these files here. And I'm Xrefing this into this current file here. So we simply click on the screen and the Xref lands on the page. I'll zoom, Z for zoom, E for extents. Here is the CAD file. If you look at your layers here, you'll see that the Xreference has their own file name at the start here. And I'm using a student's file here. And I can select all the layers in gray and simply turn on the light bulb to turn on all the layers, and then turn off things that aren't relevant. So again here, for example, I'll turn off things like ceilings and floor hatch patterns because we're focusing on the floor plan itself. I'll also turn off layer 0 because that is where the Xreferences reside typically. And here's the floor plan. So we're going to zoom into this area here. Where is the bathroom located? We'll do this one here on the left. So this washroom is going to be elevated 4 directions based on the image file I provided in class here. So again, these arrowheads here describe which directions we're going to take a look at for elevations. So these act like cameras, and you're standing in this their target here, and you're looking in this direction. And drawing number 12 describes what happens in this direction here. Drawing number 7 describes what happens here to the right, because it's pointing in that direction. So you typically create what's happening along these walls here. So we'll do that one because that's the most complicated one. And you can find these drawings here by looking at these numbers. So drawing number 7 is located here, drawing number 7. So we're going to recreate this drawing. So to do that, ideally you want to use a floor plan. Here, there's a floor plan you can use to draw that drawing. Now there's a lot of information on here that I typically don't want to use, so what you can do with an Xref is you can type the command Xclip. And you can click on the Xref, and then here, under new boundary, I'm gonna draw a rectangular boundary here, and I'll draw a rectangle around just this washroom here. And it hides everything from sight. And that is a quick and easy way to focus on the area I'm looking at and not have to see the entire floor plan because it could be very distracting and confusing. That's the Xclip command. That's what it does. Xclip command used the second time, and clicking on this here, this portion of the Xref can be turned off, and your floor plan returns. Now I'm going to rotate the floor plan. Now I'm going to use ortho here at the bottom of the screen, or F8. Make sure I rotate 90 degrees. I'm going to type RO for rotate. I'm going to click on this drawing, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees in this direction here. Actually, I want to flip it over. Rotate this, click here. You can also type 180 degrees. So flip it completely over. What you want to see is you want to see that wall here down, facing down, because we're going to use it to draw lines to create an elevation here. So let's say I make some of the layers. Now you all know how to make layers. These are the layer names. I'm not going to go through how to making layers, but I will quickly make some layers here. So I basically made some layers very quickly with using some shortcuts. So detail bold is basically the shape of the entire room. So if I draw a line from this edge of the wall down, and another line from this edge of the wall down, this is the room here. Draw a line across the top for the ceiling, and I know this room has a 9-foot ceiling, so I offset, or O, 9 feet, and I fill it to create a rectangle. So these lines here are mimicking the size of the room. They're intended to show me this rectangle. I'm looking straight ahead at this wall, and that's an elevation there. Detail bold is a heavy line weight, so this line will appear thick when printed as a PDF. Now, the detail bold is used for the outline, so let's go to detail medium and find important areas of the wall, like this corner here. That would be important to show. This wall here, important to show. And I can extend these lines down to this line here. This is the floor. EX is extend. Extend it to here with this line, and click on these lines twice, and it extends the lines down to the ground. This wall here next to that laboratory there, that wall there is not 9 feet tall according to the drawing, so we're going to cut it off at, let's say, 8 feet. So 8 feet offset here will allow me to cut off this wall. We'll fill it, and then all those layers there will become detail medium. Trim here, TR for trim, will cut off that line there. So, in elevation, I can currently see that corner right there. That's typically when you have corners in elevations, you want to show those. So that corner right there is that line. And then these two lines here are these lines here. And honestly, if I draw a line cutting through this room here, so imagine a laser slicing through this room. So all the walls that are selected will be detail bold. So this wall is an elevation line, is detail medium. But this line here got cut by this imaginary line here. It's going right through the center of these laboratories and these stalls here. So because I'm cutting through them, I should draw this as detail bold. Again, simply change that to the layer here, and then trim off this piece here. Again, this is a silhouette. You can trace your mouse around the entire edge to create detail bold layer. And here, there's a wall right there. So I'm going to draw a line here for that wall. These are typically an inch thick, but for the purposes of this assignment, this is fine. Much thicker than it need to be. But let's draw some lines here. Let's extend EX down to here and extend to here with this, and that. So these are the partitions between the laboratories here. Typically these are 1 inch thick. So this plan was drawn a little thicker than it needs to be. These here, these walls are toilet stalls. They're typically 1 inch. But I'll leave it as such for the time being. I'm going to offset 12 inches at the bottom, and I'm going to offset 6 feet to determine the top of that wall, and I'm going to start trimming pieces I don't need. These will become detail bold because in every elevation you want to draw a line through the room, and you want to create detail bold of anything that intersects this line. That would be this wall, these walls, the edge of the room here, the edge of the room there. So here, if I type trim, I can start trimming pieces of this file here that are not relevant to what I'm after. And then you can erase these. So there, I've got a wall here, and again, you want to make sure that this line here is not included. And these are the partitions. You know, these toilet stalls here. An elevation. Now, typically the purpose of creating this room is because we want to show what's happening on this back wall. So it really makes no sense to create an elevation, for example, here in front of those doors. Because the important thing to show is how you're meeting building codes, how you're correctly locating the fixtures on the wall. And if I drew an elevation standing on this green line looking ahead of me, these doors would typically be closed. And I won't be able to see the fixtures in the background. So elevations want to be located here, for example. I'm standing on this green line looking straight ahead. I want to see inside these rooms here. I won't see the door. I'm behind the door. I want to see these fixtures. And so then I can go into here and begin to create these elevations. Now, obviously here there's a problem. And the problem is that this door is much too wide. Let's do a distance. And let's see how big this door is here. This door is 3 feet. So this wall of the room is supposed to be at the edge of that doorway. And it's overlapping the door. That's a mistake. But the door is here. I draw a line from there down to here. And you can see why I'm using Xrefs. Because it's easy for me to just pick and choose lines off this drawing, using my mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and elevate these areas. So this door is 7 feet tall. O for offset, 7 feet. This door frame is 2 inches thick, so offset 2 inches. And typically you want to fillet these edges here. Now it looks like this person drew the door frames at the wrong size, but I will make this detail medium. And I'll extend these lines down. And I will TR for trim and cut these lines off. This is the drafting exercise. There's the door. Right there. And so this is the start of the drawing. I've got the door located, the edge of the wall. I'm cutting through this partition and these partitions here. And then you can continue to add the elements that appear in the elevation drawing that I provided. For example, here, these fixtures, this guardrail here, that toilet there, and there's some additional elements here along the wall that I may or may not have in the file I provided for your use. Here's a waste can. So, let's go further. So here's the laboratory here. So I'm going to draw a line from its center point, and I'm going to place it on this floor here. And I need to locate a laboratory right there. I'm going to draw another line from the center of this block here and draw it there. And yet another line from the center of this down to there. So this basically allows me to make sure that the toilets are centered on these green lines here when placed in this file. And this is when you can copy and paste from your support file. So here, for example, I've got the support file. So I'm looking for a laboratory here that's up against a wall. So this blue line here is the wall. There's the handicap bar. Here's the one across the back of the wall. Here's the toilet. Here's the grab bar along the side wall. This is the drawing that I need. So let's turn off layers that I don't want to see. If I click here, the layer becomes announced, and I can simply turn off that layer. If I click, and actually that's all. I can click here, for example, and turn off that layer too. But I want to grab all these parts and pieces from here and copy them into my file. Now they're going to be flipped over because this bar is on the opposite wall, so this needs to flip to the opposite wall when we import it. But we're going to copy this. These layers here are a detail layer here. So let's grab this here and Control C on your keyboard to copy. So Control C on your keyboard is the copy command. Hit escape. Then I can go into this drawing and Control V on your keyboard is paste. And here I can bring it into the file. Now I'm going to escape for a second. Another thing you can do is you can copy this here. You can right click, and here's copy. And here under clipboard there's another command here, copy with a base point. Now that would be useful because instead of arbitrarily making it fall onto the other file and copy it into there, I can use a point somewhere on the screen that's going to be the same point on both drawings. So for example, copy with the base point. I'm going to copy this from this corner right there, which is where the floor is located. Or I can copy it from this point right here because I've got my intersection snap turned on. Right there, INT will snap to that. So that's an important point. If I can find that point on the other drawing, that would be very useful. So let's do that. Let's pick this point here. And it's ready. So when I come to here, I right click and I go to clipboard and I paste, and I can paste it as a block. There's the drawings. So then I know that my mouse is stuck on the floor for those objects, so I can click here on the floor and it places it in the same location. Now we might have to move it because this drawing might not be placed correctly in the floor plan, but these drawings here show me where they should be placed because this edge of that bar, that grab bar, should be on this line here, this wall on the right. So this needs to be mirrored. MI for mirror. Click here. Maybe pick the center here and go straight down. And then here, erase the original object. Yes. Okay, I flipped it over using this green line as the mirror line to flip. Then here, I can M for move this entire block from this point to this point. That's where these objects should be. I don't need this line anymore. So the floor plan is slightly off. The drawing should be located here. The drawing is located there in the floor plan. It's slightly off, but this is accurate. This is correct. I'm going to erase this green line. So there's a block inserted in the right location for the handicap stall. We can do this one here. Go into this drawing here. That one there is, let's see, we need a front elevation. We can probably use this one again, but I don't need the grab bar any longer. I simply need this toilet here. So highlight the toilet or the lav, right click, clipboard, copy with the base point. Right there. That point is on the floor, which is very useful to me. Click on it. Open up your drawing here. Right click, clipboard, paste with that base point, which we know is right here on the floor. Did I grab it? Let's see. Grab the drawing, highlight it, right click, clipboard, copy with the clip base point there. Go here, right click, paste with the base point. Now, why aren't those drawings coming with me? Oh, I think I missed a step. Right click, right click. Copy with the base point here. Right click. Paste as a block. Yeah, paste as a block, and I want to click it here. So that is a block. I want to insert it as a block, so don't forget that step. I previously forgot that. Now, this block has been copied. This block is exactly the same. I know exactly where it goes right there on the floor. I can right click, clipboard, paste as a block again, and place it right there. And so these guidelines help me determine where exactly to place those laboratories here. And these can be deleted now. So now I've got 3 labs here with the hardware located here on the wall for handicap accessibility. This door, if you can imagine, this door here has that dotted line there and a handle and this plate here at the bottom that's just simply a rectangle. If there aren't any measurements provided, make it up. So here I can use a P line to locate that door swing symbol, P line, and I can draw it from this corner to the middle of this whole line here to the bottom of the floor right here. Escape. And that's because under OSNAP I've got the midpoint option located here, checked. So it finds midpoints. Now, this doesn't look like the right layer according to the handout, so I'm going to make a quick layer called Detail Hidden, which is color number 4. And under your layers here, I created it here, but the line type here is not continuous. It's called hidden, so I need to load the hidden style. If I type H, it jumps to all the H's. Hidden's right there, double click, it shows up on the list. Choose hidden, hit OK. And now the hidden is assigned to detail hidden layer. And if I click on this, then I can move it to the layer called detail hidden. And it shows up like this. This plate down here, let's say it's again, this is a gas. Let's say it's an inch from the edge of the door. So I can type offset and just simply draw an inch over and fill the corners. And let's make this plate a foot tall. So offset 12 inches and then clean up the corners. And this is a minor detail, so because it's minor, we're going to move it into detail fine layer. The most important object we want to see is this door. We want to see that door swing there. This is the metal plate at the bottom of the door, and these are the layers that we'll use. Next to the door, there is a waste receptacle here. Now it's not drawn here in the floor in the floor plan here, but we'll need to located on this wall here. So I'm going to find the middle of this wall. I can typically do that by simply drawing a line from this edge to this edge, and then drawing a line from the midpoint, right there in the middle, down to the floor. That's the middle of that wall, right there, right? Because I drew a line from here down to the floor, perpendicular, PER. See, that one's crooked. I just drew that line right there. So that'll help me locate this dispenser here along this wall here. So let's see if this drawing has one. They typically do, I believe. Let's see, that's a changing, that's a mirror. This is a symbol for mirrors, these little lines here. I believe this is the dispenser right here, if I'm not mistaken. This is rectangle. So I'm simply going to copy it. Right, I'm going to right click, I'm going to draw a window around it, right click, clipboard, copy with the base point, and the base point is going to be here on the ground. I'm going to go into my drawing, I'm going to right click and paste it as a block, and click right there on the ground. It's the same height off the floor in both drawings when I use the same reference point, this point here, this corner. And I can delete that. Now, this has a little doorway here, so we'll go ahead and draw that. And this I will move to a detail medium. And again, as we've done in the past, ideally these blocks here should all be on layer 0. So come into here and move into layer 0. Then if I click here, you see it's layer 0. Then I can go into these blocks and update them. I can double click on these blocks and hit OK, and there's the drawing there. I can offset, let's say an inch again, and then here, let's move this up. I grab that little grip right there, and I can pull that line straight up onto the screen. I simply grab it and move my mouse, point my mouse up in the upward direction. I've got my ortho turned on here. I simply point up and type, let's say 24 inches. That's a little too high. I'm going to grab that and move it down, maybe 8 inches. Move it up 3 inches perhaps. I'm basically drawing that. This doesn't seem right. Let me erase this for a second. Offset 1 inch. Okay, there. Let's do a distance. How big is this thing? From here to here, it is 1 foot 11. So I'll make that little door here. This door here. Let's make it 6 inches. So if I draw a line right there, I can't draw lines because it's layer 0. So let's go detail fine. And by the way, I can turn on that layer. You can see this line here was hidden. I'm going to delete that. Detail fine. I'm going to draw a line right there. I'm going to offset it 6 inches. And then I'm going to move this up until it's perpendicular to that line there. And you can do that by typing P-E-R, perpendicular. And I click and it makes it at a 90-degree angle. Now I don't need these lines anymore. All these lines here, I would make the border of the object detail medium, and then I'd make this detail fine. There's also a little knob or opening or circle right there in the bottom corner. So let's go ahead and make that. I'll draw a circle or C here. It asks for a radius, so let's say 1/2 inch. And let's use the move command and move it straight up. Let's say 2 inches. Let's move it here to the right, 2 inches. If that's too far, you can move it over 1 inch. You can move it down 1 inch. Let's say it's right there. This is what I like to make. This looks a little bit more like this receptacle here. Again, they don't show dimensions for these items, but make up the dimensions if you don't have the information you need. Just make it look right. This is done. These have been moved to the right layers. Make sure these objects are moved to the correct layers that we're using in class. Save changes. So, detail medium is used to show the object. Detail fine is used for additional details, like this door and that handle, additional details. These should be moved to detail fine layer. So if I double click on this block, hit OK, I can grab all the items. Now let's watch out here. That here seems to be a block. That there seems to be a block. So we can X for explode. Let's get rid of this block. And then grab all these lines on the Home tab and make sure that they're all drawn by layer here. And make sure the layer we're talking about is detail fine. That way, this is now detail fine layer. If I click here, it says detail fine. So I exploded the block, and then I moved all the parts into detail fine layer, but only after here, making sure that all the parts and pieces, when it comes to color, they're by layer. When I accept this, it'll fix them all. So it fixed this one, it fixed this one. It may have even fixed this one. So let's double click this block, and let's edit that block and make sure we're on the right layers. These, again, you see these here are all blocks. They have these little symbols here. This is a block as well. So let's explode the entire thing. X for explode. Grab it all. They've all been, that's still a block. X for block. That's still a block. X for block. Oh, this cannot be exploded. This can. This cannot. I wonder why. So let's grab these items and let's see if we can move them to the detail fine layer. So this is on detail fine. This block is on detail fine, even though I can't explode it. This here is still black because I did not change the color to by layer. The colors get assigned here. So you're looking for the layer color to make sure the layer color is used on the selection. I'm going to hit close, I'm going to save, and these have all been changed to detail fine. How do I know? Well, if I come into my layers and turn off detail fine, they go away. So those are correct. So, moving along. There is a mirror on this wall here, and there's a countertop, a couple of sink fixtures, and this seems to be, let's see there. You see here, they've got this apron that covers up all the plumbing below the sink here. So we'll have to draw something like this. Now that you're not going to find on this drawing here, unfortunately. This doesn't have any sort of, I mean, they have a sink here, but that sink is exposed. So we're on our own. So here, offset 30 inches for the top of the counter. Let's do offset 4 inches for that lip at the top. Let's offset let's say 6 inches at the floor, and these will all be on detail medium layer. And the mirror lines up with the top of this wall. So I'm going to draw a line up there and make sure it's perpendicular to this. And that line should also be on detail medium layer. And this would be glass. A glass typically denoted by some lines like this at 45-degree angle. That denotes glass. So we do have a hatch layer. So I will draw a line at symbol 12, and then I use the angle symbol, the less than symbol, 45, and I draw the line on an angle. So line, pick a point, use the at symbol, at 12, angle, shift next to the M on your keyboard, angle 45 degrees, and then hit enter. These lines can be basically moved next to each other. I'm going to turn off ortho because this is restrictive, so I'm going to turn off ortho here, and I can simply just draw some dashes, like that. I'm going to copy, and then copy all of them and maybe put it, you know, somewhere random. That denotes that that's glass. And this is the extent to which we'll draw that mirror. We're not going to worry about drawing those the actual faucets here, but this is enough for now. That's your elevation. There is a door handle here that we'll draw, and so what I'll do is I will draw an offset of, let's say, 36 inches, and I'll draw a little circle right here at this intersection, and that'll be the cover plate of the handle of the door. C for circle, that intersection right there. D for diameter. I can type D for diameter. I don't have to accept the radius of the circle. I can type D for diameter, and the diameter is let's say 2 inches. Then I move this to the right with my ortho turned on, so it's perfectly straight. Move it to the left. Let's say 2 inches. So there's the. I don't need this line anymore. And we're drawing a handle. So I'll draw a line from the center of the circle. So I hover around the center. If I hover on the circle, it finds the center right there, a little dot. So I click, and it finds that dot. I move my mouse to the left. Again, I'm on ortho. Here's ortho at the bottom. To the left, let's say 6. That looks pretty long. Let's move this dot back to the left 2 inches and make it 4. Let's make it another inch. This is 3 inches, not 6. And I'm going to offset O, let's say a ½ inch. Let's not do a ½ inch, that's too much. Offset 1/4 inch. Up and down. Draw a line across the end, draw another line across the end. This is 3 inches over, this is ½ inch up and down from the center. I don't need that anymore. Trim, I don't need that anymore. There's the handle. I'm going to take the entire object and move it on Detail Find layer. So this is what your elevation looks like. The only thing that's missing here is your tile wall. There are some. You can see here. There are some toilet dispensers here along the wall. So let's see if we have them. If not, we will need to draw them. So let's go here. I don't see any from a side view because they're using that circle there, but that's not showing it from the side mounted to the wall here. So let's just draw it. Let's just make some guesses how tall these things are. So offset, let's say 14 inches, because it's slightly above the bottom of the partition here. And that's offset O. Let's say it's 20 inches tall. And let's offset. Let's say they're 4 inches deep. And fillet these corners. These are on Detail Medium. And I can then take that dispenser and copy it from this wall to this wall in the exact same location. I can do CO for copy. I can grab it and go, for example, from this wall here, perpendicular to this wall here. My perpendicular snap is on. If you don't see perpendicular snap, type PER, enter, and it'll find that little icon right there. And I can click, and it puts it in the exact same spot. Escape, escape. Looks like, well, actually, it looks like we're a little tall. It's just below this grab bar here. So let's go. I can move this object down 2 inches. Let's see if that's below the grab bar. Yes, it's just below the grab bar. So I'm gonna trim those. I'm gonna move this down 2 inches and fillet this corner. And then I'm going to copy this, CO, copy this, enter, from this wall to this wall. Make sure perpendicular step is turned on. Make sure ortho is turned on. And I put it there. And now I need to flip it over this blue line. So MI for mirror. Grab those, enter, pick the line here, just point straight down by after clicking that corner. And then here it says yes, erase the original. And now I'm done. This is what your elevation should look like along this elevation, I believe it's 7. Now I'm only missing the hatch patterns. So we know we can go to BH for B hatch. We can go through here, little arrow, and look for a pattern that looks like tile. And honestly, this brick pattern is probably going to look like tile. That one's called AR Brick Standard. This is brick. Yeah, so let's go ahead and use that one. That seems to be closest to the pattern we're looking for. Kind of a brick-like looking pattern. So let's use this one here. And again, if your drafting is perfect, you should be able to place it on this wall here and on this wall here without any issue. And there. This elevation is done. Now, it looks like, for example, here, they may have started the pattern in the lower left-hand corner. There seems to be a base across the bottom of the wall. See here? There's like a little, and here they say it's a 3-inch terrazzo base. Right here, that line right there is a base at the wall. When the wall meets the floor, there's a little base. So I left that out by mistake. So let's go ahead and delete this. Let's go ahead and offset, O for offset, 3 inches. And let's draw a little line across the bottom of the floor on detail fine layer. And let's make sure it appears. It can go through the door, obviously, so TR for trim. And make sure you cut it out of here. It goes across the bottom of the wall, here, here, underneath the sink. That's fine. Underneath these toilets here. Detail fine layer. So, BH. Click here. Set origin in the bottom left-hand corner. And it starts the very first tile right there, or maybe over here by the door, wherever you want to put it. Set origin, for example here, and move the pattern around. And then here you put a pattern there, and it should all work out. There's an elevation. Now I don't know if this is going to look appropriate. I don't know if I have the pen settings, but let's go make a layout tab. So we go to make a layout tab. We format this to be the size we need, which is Page Shadow Manager, modify. We've done this before. AutoCAD PDF. This is ArcD 24 by 36. Your plot styles are turned on. I'm not sure if I have a detail CTB file that's set up the same way as the class file, but I'm going to assume it might be. I'm going to choose OK. Okay, so this is a drawing that is 24 by 36. Let me delete this M view for a second. Let's draw an M view for that first elevation. M. Well, let's put on layer 0. Actually, let's put on layer depth point so it doesn't print. Layer depth points here. M V. Make a hole in your sheet. Double click on the M view. Focus on your drawing. Click on the box and change the scale here. I believe we're going to make these 1/2 inch scale. There's a 1/2 inch scale. And obviously hide the floor plan, so I don't want to see the floor plan, so move this box a little further down. There's the elevation here. Line weights are not working, so let's see if they work. LW, display line weights, hit OK. So there. There are the line weights. Now, I don't know if this line weights are accurate, but I can quickly check and do a comparison. But this is exactly what the elevation should look like. This nice line weights here that are appearing. But let's check and see if the line weights are correct. I'm going to go Page Setup Manager, go Modify, and use little box here and take a look at the colors and make sure I'm using the right pen assignments. Color number 5 is 0.65. That's correct. Color number 3 is 0.35. Color number 2 is 0.25. Yes. Color number 7 is going to be 0.35. Color number 8 is 0.15. This is a little bit bigger, 0.15. And color number 4 is 0.05. So these are accurate in terms of the line weights. I'm going to save that. So it's been recorded under my CTV file here. It's all been set up. Hit OK. Hit OK. This is what your drawing should look like with line weights. Notice how thick the border is here compared to detail medium, which is a little bit thinner here. So again, these line weights help show the drawing in this fashion here. It really emphasizes what you're looking at here. So this dotted line weren't showing up a second ago, so I fixed that problem. And how do I fix that problem? I do the following. PS LT scale, Piper Space LT scale, is set to 0. Make sure that's set to 0. MS LT scale, Model Space LT scale, is set to 0. So PS LT scale is set to 0. MS LT scale is set to 0. When I click inside here and type RE for regen, that fixes this problem here. So now this drawing is accurate. This is what your drawing should look like. These are the line weights. Detail bold is the heaviest on the outside. This is detail bold. Detail medium is not as heavy as detail bold. And then in the background are detail fine. And the thinnest line here is the hatch pattern in the background there. You see that's a very thin line back there. And so these drawings look three-dimensional, although they're all two-dimensional drafting. That's the M view for that one elevation there. So with that being said, you can then draw the rest of the room. I'm going to turn off layer 0 for a second. I don't need that line anymore. I can draw the rest of the elevations in a similar fashion using these drawings as a guide here. So you're going to draw the rest of these elevations here using these. You draw 12, 8, and 11. And you can see where they're located. There's 8 here. 12 is right there. And 11 is right there. And do the best you can to recreate the images on the drawing. You're going to copy the hardware from the other file into this file. And so these fixtures will not have to be drafted by yourself, so don't worry about those. And then here, you can simply do some minor drafting to recreate, this for example, this hanging changing station. A little rectangle up there, 6'11" in the air. Guesstimate how big these items are if you can't find them. Just simply guess. And do the best you can to draw that. These are the partitions. Okay, so that's your task for this class. So I would take this floor plan, I would rotate it from the center 180 degrees, and then move it down to here. I'm going to turn off the ortho. And literally next to this drawing, I will start drawing another drawing because I know the floor is here at the bottom of the screen. F8. I can draw the floor, I can draw the top of the ceiling, and I can use this drawing here to draw this back wall elevation. We're not going to go beyond that door. So I'm going to draw a line from that wall there. I'm going to draw a line from this wall here. And the same rules apply. I'm going to fill it. So my layer's locked. What happened? I'm going to make all these layer detail bold, and I fill it these, and there's the start of my next elevation. I'm going to hide that layer 0 for a second. I'm going to draw this wall right here. So I flip the drawing over. Imagine standing in the middle of the room, let's say right here. I'm standing on that line looking up at this wall. What do I see? That's an elevation. I'm going to change my layers here and make a detail bold active layer so I can start drawing. And I'm going to turn off layer 0. So this is the next elevation you draw. That back wall. They don't have to be close to each other. I can then continue the work. When this is done, I can rotate this drawing, let's say 90 degrees, type 90, and I can move it into position. And I can start drawing this elevation, this wall and that wall going through the sink there. So I have to pick a place where I'm standing. So I'm going to stand right here. And I have to draw that wall through that sink. And I stop at this edge and that edge there. Draw that elevation right here. I can simply copy this. Make sure I copy it over. And I can make sure these are perpendicular to here. And I can make sure the line stops about right there behind the sink. This elevation is going to be about this big. Draw that elevation. Make sure these edges are connected. Draw that elevation right there. And then you can rotate this a second time, or a final time, 180 degrees. And move this drawing out of the way. Turn off ortho. And where I'm going to stand, I'm going to stand in this back room here. And I'm going to draw this wall. What's on this wall and what are the fixtures along that wall there? Standing on this line here. I'm going to draw that room, that elevation right there. And I'm going to draw it right here. Right here. In alignment with these. So when I'm done with this task, I'm just simply drawing lines down so I know how big the room is. And I'm simply going to fill it these to show me where the ceiling's at. I'm going to trim to get rid of the little extra lines here. That's the wall right there. Draw that wall right here using that XREF. Draw it right there. So once all these are done, 1, 2, 3, 4 elevations, I can go into here and make M views for the others. Now I can copy this M view and then adjust it to show the other elevations. I can copy this M view. I think I need to turn my, let's see, can I grab this? No, this is on layer, must be on layer 0. Actually, it seems like depth points is locked for some reason. Depth points, is it frozen? I'm not sure why it's frozen, but let's unfreeze it. Turn on all my layers. I'm not sure why that layer disappeared. These layers are all turned on and all visible. Okay. I can copy this M view from here to here. I can then double click inside this view and move the drawing over move command, and I can literally move this drawing over. I'm sorry, not the move command. Just use your mouse wheel. Just pan the drawing over. And this is your other elevation. Double click. That's your elevation. I can copy both of these M views. And then again adjust this. Double click inside and slide it over. That's elevation number 2. That's elevation number 3. Again, you don't want to see extra things sitting out here, so make sure you adjust this box just by moving it closer and just focus on what you want to see in the elevations. Like for example, just that much. Double click here, and you're going to show the last one, which is this one here. Then your Xref should probably be removed by that point. Xref. Click on the Xref, right click, and unload it, and it'll hide the Xref. The Xref is missing. There's the 4 elevations. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to activate the line weights inside here. Double click, type RE, line weights are activated. Double click, RE, activated. Double click in here, RE, activated. 1 window per elevation. That's all this drawing is doing. These guys are on depth points layer. They will not print. The drawings will print. These boxes will not. In Paperspace, you might want to line these up better. So I can draw a line. That's actually pretty close. And then I can draw a line across this drawing here. And actually, they're lined up pretty close. If not, I can basically open this view and move it up and down until they line up there, and then erase this guideline that I'm using in Paperspace. So 1, 2, 3, 4 elevations. Let's see, that's all we're after. Xclip command we showed you. I've given you this PDF file of the elevations. You're going to use that ADA file for reference and copy and paste. Don't include dimensions. Add the door swing, set up 24 by 36. Half-inch scale, which is what I just did. When I copy an M view, it copies all the settings. This M view here is set up already. It's a half-inch scale. I can now lock this view. This one has been set up correctly. I can now lock this view. This one as well. I can lock this view. This one as well. Padlock it. Escape, escape. This one, padlock it. So that I can no longer change that view. I can no longer slide that drawing around. That's what you want. These are M views, and they were created on the depth points layer, so that when I try to print this, let's do a plot, continue with a single plot, do a little preview here. This is what your drawing will look like. It'll look like the 4 elevations. Those boxes won't appear because they're on depth points layer. The depth points layer does not print. So you're going to turn in this file with 4 elevations. This was the hardest one here. The rest should be fairly easy. Follow these steps and you should be on your way to completing this assignment. Okay, good luck. Take care. See you next class. And feel free to reach me at using Outlook for emails, or send an appointment on my calendar. You have the link from my syllabus. So we'll talk more next week. All right, good luck. Bye now.